Future lovers of mine out there, never compare me to a your mother's dog.
Yeah, I couldn't do this if I didn't have a system. Like I consider myself a pretty like organized person, and I feel like because I come from a world regarding like software engineering of like planning out like okay, here's a complex system and breaking it down into simpler tasks and outlining how long it's going to take and then executing on that, making sure the code goes to production without bugs and all of that, providing feedback on code. It's like taking all of those skills and transferring them to doing this project management, game development, working with others and conveying the ideas that I have. Like it, that has helped to be able to, I'll say successfully. So far, I'm feeling pretty good about how it's been going,
Yeah.
being able to pull it off.
Yeah, but let them know. Let them know that you are here. You are putting in the work, and the work is paying off. Well, good morning, listener. I am your dove, AP, and today I have a special guest. A guest that has flown from a very far distant place to another, to another, to another, and then has arrived here to Chicago. Let me rephrase that into the Chicago Bears, Chicago. Today I am talking to a founder of a video game studio. Today I'm talking to a multi-hatted talent. I am joined by Ugochi, and I'm very happy to be joined by Ugochi, who is the founder of Guava Pixel Studios, a game developer extraordinaire.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
I am so happy that you have sat down with me today in a gloomy day in the January, in a gloomy year, honestly. And I was interested in talking to you because you have a game that you're developing, the Afterlife Café. For the good listeners out in Dove how would you describe the Afterlife Café?
Yes, so the Afterlife Cafe is a visual novel centered around traveling to the afterlife. And so I have a little blurb that you can find on my game pages, and it goes in a city split between life and afterlife, chat with spirits, brew drinks to suit your mood, and bond with the people who run the cafes that connect both worlds. In this urban sci fi fantasy visual novel, your choices impact the living, the departed, and your own path forward. And so this story, you talk to the people who run the cafes. These are concierges. You chat with spirits and learn about how they feel about their lives, their regrets, the things that they're proud about. And it's not just a story about death and talking to spirits, but it's about the bonds that you make with the people in the game, the concierges, the people you work with. And so I like to think of it, or what I hope people take away from it is a reflection on their life through the stories of the people in the games as well as the spirits that you talk to in the afterlife.
Which is very, very much within the system of a visual novel, right? It is so it's so reflective of who is playing it and why they're playing it. So I am excited to play this. I am also a little heartbroken to hear that the game dev of the Afterlife Cafe doesn't drink coffee in the morning. But I am excited to see this group of characters that you have been teasing for the since well the launch of the studio. I see so
Yeah, for
many.
a while now.
Yeah, I've seen so many of these characters, and I'm excited to talk about them a little bit and how you see them play out in well, kind of like the system of a visual novel. And when we were talking, we want to talk about a visual novel because we're celebrating visual novels here. And we are going to talk about the Willowmist Emporium of Antiques and Curiosities. what kind of like attracted you to this game?
Well, I first played a game by so Two and a Half Studios, the studio that made Willowmist, also made a game called A Date with Death.
Hmm.
And so when I started working on this game, I looked for, okay, what like how are other games talking about death? Like I wanted to see the full range of games that are talking about it in a super lighthearted manner, games that are it's very somber. I just wanted to just see what people were doing out there. And so the first thing I did is I went on itch.io and I searched death and death games, and A Date with Death was one of them that came up. And it was this fun like dating sim essentially where you're dating the Grim Reaper.
Nice.
And I had a lot of fun, and so that's how I first came across the studio. And then I think separately I was like on Steam just like scrolling through games, and I saw the art for another game, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to add this to my wish list. And then I realized it's from the same creators, and so that was a while ago that I had wish listed it. And then it recently the game came out for to play a demo of it, so yeah, I got to check that out. But from early on, I saw the art and the character design, and thought it looked really cool. So I'm a very visual person. So if something like looks good, I'm going to want to check it out.
100%. This is a beautiful looking game. Like the
Hmm.
folks out in Two and a Half Studios, like they're a little bit of a smaller org out of Tasmania, Australia, and they both make games and publish games. And looking at their catalog, art is so high up on their like skill set because throughout Willowmist Emporium, like there is a day and night cycle, and every piece of art in the background to the characters, like they change a little bit in hue and saturation through that day and night cycle, and in both times, beautiful setting.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I really like how they did the whole like day and night. Um, so where you feel the passage of time. In addition to how they actually have like it's now Monday, now it's Tuesday, now it's Wednesday. So I like how they did that.
This game is very much like tied to time. Like for the listeners out there, the Willowmist Emporium, you are a 26-year-old person. Their default name is Sage Marigold. And Sage Marigold is kind of a big city mouse that gets thrown into the countryside because a very eclectic collector aunt Sylvia has wrangled you to like manage the storefront for 3 months, and you have to deal with everything that goes with that, up to and including some supernatural stuff. And that supernatural stuff is where some of the twist comes in. And I like it because these supernatural characters that you romance, some of them you romance, some of them you get berated by, but some of them are like sapient, rambunctious, magical talking spell books that have been waiting for you specifically to arrive and hate you, and they're very open about it. Some of them, there's other supernatural figures like a time traveling knight who I am in love with. A soft vampire boy who I have a soft, I wouldn't mind bites to the neck from. There's a ghost with a music career, and the scariest thing out there, an accountant. What did you think of this mix of characters?
Yeah, I thought the characters were really interesting. So yeah, like you first get introduced to the vampire boy, who is, I like how you kind of know upfront, like it's not like, oh, like who is this person? Like you kind of see the teeth right away, and like one of the first or one or two like times you run into this character, but the character you're playing as doesn't notice. So it's like you as the viewer knows, but the character I don't think has realized it yet. So you kind of know what you're getting into early on, you learn that, okay, it's not just a fun, whimsical town, but these are actually, okay, what's a vampire doing here? And then you learn about the other characters. Now there's something not quite normal about all the other characters. So now you're like, okay, with each person that I meet, like, what is their backstory? And then there's like a chef, and I haven't played the full demo, but I'm wondering, like, oh, is he a werewolf? So there's a lot, yeah, there's a lot going on as far as like the supernatural with the characters, but I think that makes it fun.
You touched on something that I really like about this protagonist, which is, yeah, I played as a he him, but I used the non-gendered like honorific MX, because that's like the abbreviation for Mexico. And I like this character because he's a little bit of a dummy. He's not he's not exactly traveled or worldly. And yeah, when Sage walks into the Emporium for the first time, he sees this guy, Florian, who's very tooth forward. His incisors are like actual vampire teeth. And this guy's like, oh, well, he's a bit of a grumpy guy, but great with a broom.
Which actually, because now when I consume content, I feel like I always consume it through the lens of like storytelling and like what you can and can't do. And like as I'm looking at that, it just was a good reminder that like you can kind of like you can what's the right word? Like you can um suspend belief or suspend disbelief, whichever is the right phrasing. But you don't like everything doesn't have to like I guess be super obvious or make exact sense. Like you can leave kind of I guess gaps in like, oh well, yeah, this person doesn't maybe notice this, and like have that come out later, versus like there can be a discrepancy between like the character you're playing and you as the viewer. And so that like I feel like that helps to like both introduce the story and the world early on, but also provides a good hook for the player, because like, oh, this is a vampire, versus everyone seems normal like hours in and you're still wondering like, okay, like why am I playing, or what's going on here?
100%. Like like this guy, Sage, or at least my guy, Sage, he lived in a world where email exists. He lives in a world where he has to think about flipping a burger, right? He doesn't have to think about garlic, and he doesn't have to think about like a Ouija board and how to deal with like supernatural things. So
oh, you said garlic, and I was like, he's making burgers. You don't put garlic on your food. And then I realized garlic vampire.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, he has transferable skills. This guy is a bit of a dummy. I like it though. I like it though because the game. This is a demo at this moment, right? But these games go for a long time, so like it's still a good encapsulation of what this story is like and what it's about and where it's gonna take you. So it's nice that there is a bit of a slow burn into the more supernatural things, and I really like how this relationship between Florian and Sage start, because it's immediately gay.
Depending on the character you choose, which I like that you can choose your pronouns in the beginning. I like that you can choose the honorifics that you want to use and your body type. It's not like, do you want this gendered, binary gendered body or this? It's like, it's body type 1 and body type 2. So I think that's cool that you can, it takes on choose your own adventure. It takes that meaning even further. Like you can choose who you are in the story.
You can self-insert, like truly, and like that's why 2.5 Studios, like they're very forward with being pro-queer. They from the very top of their page, they're like, we like BL, boy love, GL, girl love, and Amare games, which is like me, which is like, if you're down and I'm down, then we're down. And I like that. And yeah, I was playing a guy. I don't always play a guy in video games, but I kind of wanted to play gay. So like I'm very happy that like Florian and Sage got from the very beginning. There was a slow burn happening.
Yeah, yeah. Like I actually when I there was like that little like I guess trailer that's in the beginning, and I was seeing like the two like orange haired characters, and at first I wasn't sure what was going on until I realized when you get to choose a character, I'm like, oh, you can choose to play as either one of these. And so um when I chose my character, I chose like the more like femme presenting one. But then as I was playing, I was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should have chosen the other one. I think that could have been more fun to play. But yeah, I mean, I could always, start again because you can save like a million different you have a million different save slots. So you could play as a different character if you want. And another thing that's great in visual novels is something that is really core as far as a technical ability is to be able to just skip forward.
Hmm.
So one of the pros, or something that people like to do when playing visual novels, is to play the game again, but choose another option to see, okay, what happens if I decided to go down this path instead of the other, or if I chose to respond in this way, or romance this character versus another. And so being able to like skip past like 30 minutes of dialogue before you have a choice is helpful to be able to just get to where you're trying to get to.
This game is very generous. They give you like 9 uh, save slots, 9 pages worth of save slots, I should say. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you could skip some stuff. You can in visual novels you can auto scroll as well. You can really play this as a literary first experience, and I like that. I think that really like notes something about visual novels that although I have a small history with visual novels, I know that it's not as expansive as well the entire catalog that exists, and that is that there's there's a less artifice in these games for the sake of the narrative. So in this game, there's 3 difficulty levels. 2 of them immediately do not give you a game over screen. Only the third and the highest do give you a game over screen. And I like that. It really like lets you focus on what is being said here, the dialogue, and the dialogue goes quick. Like these characters are actively like moving the plot forward, or at least their relationship forward, and that all comes from the sake of the material part of this game, which is you are sitting there, you're reading and you're clicking sometimes, and that's nice. It's a very cozy atmosphere.
Yeah, like I think um there's so many paths you could take when it comes to like making a visual novel. Like you could make it so that you are just reading, like it's a single story, there's no branching paths, and you're just kind of like reading the story along. There's other types where you could have more of an insert and you do see where choices matter
Mm,
and the storylines branch. So it really depends on like as a creator what you're going for. Both are valid, but both are fun. I mean, people read books, which there's only one path unless it's a
right.
choose your own adventure book. Um, so I think yeah, it's fun to explore like the game that I'm making. It's there are going to be branching storylines, and um now when I play other visual novels, it's like I can't help but like, oh, like these are the differences or these are the similarities between what I'm making and what I'm playing.
Right.
So what came first in my mind was how there's a nice mix in Willowmist of there's dialogue and then there's also like narration that moves the story forward. And in the game that I'm making, the Afterlife Cafe, it's probably more dialogue heavy. Like it's the dialogue that moves that moves the story forward, where you're always in conversation with someone and answering a question or asking a question or responding to something, and you have there's a lot more choices that you make.
When you are like identifying these things within video games, are you seeing the kind of like the decision making that the game developers had to do? Because a lot of these, in Willowmist, when I would choose a dialogue, I would usually choose the like ruder dialogue, or unless the heart. like dialogue option was given. But like, do you see like when someone is giving you an actual choice versus a false choice versus like some mix of both?
Yeah, I think a mix is always good, and I think as a player, I feel like it's important to know what kind of choices you have and know what you're getting. Like it should
Mm,
be clear if you have two choices that, let's say this is going to like, these are two very like game altering choices. That should be pretty obvious from the choices. It shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm going to like decide to have lemonade versus orange juice. Like that shouldn't equate to it one of them being a game over screen. Like if you choose one, going back to the example like orange juice over lemonade, like, oh, maybe someone comments on the color and then you move on. So I
yeah.
feel like the choice that you see should match the impact that it has. And so, because otherwise, as a player, like I feel like I would have like anxiety over like, oh, like what should I choose? Like what's going to happen? Of course, you can like in some games you can go back and redo and things like that. But when you're playing a game, you want to feel confident in your choices. And so I feel like I think it's a skill in conveying that through the word choice that you use in the choices.
And this is a topic that has existed in video games for a very long time. I remember when Fallout 4 came out, and there's a lot of comparison in between Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 or New Vegas, where the dialogue options that you have, they kind of give you the vibe of what you're going for versus the actual like words your character would say. And even a little further back, when Mass Effect 3 came out, the same thing. It was more of a vibe than the actual choice itself. And and there's a difference in between those games and a visual novel, where the visual novel it's not going to affect you in that it's going to send you 1,000 like steps back that you have to grind your way up to again, or you have to scum save. You can just choose something, and if you don't like it, it is possible to just go back. And I really like that. There is something within me that says play difficult games, AP. And then there's the reality when I play a difficult game and I'm like, you're not good at this, dog. Why are you doing this? I was playing Hollow Knight Silk Song, and I was playing this game as well. And there's an entire world of difference in between these two games and what they provide you. Like, there's no moment where I was frustrated with Willowmist because I was being spanked for 2 hours by some boss like I was in Silk Song. All I had to do was just enjoy the story that was being presented. I even describe it
Mhm.
as being a little. It got me into a little bit of a sleepy mode. Honestly, it cooled me down.
It's
I
comforting, yeah.
Yes. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah. There was there was a time where I was like kind of just like laying down and like clicking through, and like you had like the nice background music, and you had like it was just like very calm. I found myself like just dozing off, but that could have also been because I did not, I was mentioning earlier how I, sprained my ankle playing soccer. So I'm like kind of laying down and like my foot's up and I'm trying to like, get stuff done. But I would say that is due to just like the cozy nature of like the visuals and the music and the vibe, and that it's very calming. It's like you're not playing it and you're like your heart's not racing, like you're not
Yeah.
stressed out. It's just very like soothing and nice.
Are you attracted to this type of game? This kind of more soothing, cozy game?
I like a mix, to be honest. Like to me, there's a vibe for whatever mood that I'm in, like, and that goes across mediums, whether that's games, whether that's television. I'm a huge anime fan, and
Mm.
so it really depends on the mood that I'm in, whether I want something that's just more calming and cozy, or I want something that is like exciting and intense. So yeah, it really just depends.
This is so slice of life anime, honestly. Like every single day is just a little bit of the same. You get to see your friends. You get to make a little bit of
Mhm.
money. You have a nice meal at the end of the day. Like there's no conflict in that's going to like jar you from the very start from the very end, from the artwork, the dialogue, the choices in the like running the merchandising. It all fits within this scope of like I don't like cutesy. I guess that's what I would say, cutesy. And so I want to talk about the characters a little bit. So I gotta ask, who you trying to romance? Who you trying to go at?
I would say like my favorite character to romance right now is Florian,
Mm.
just because he's just kind of like leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anyone. And so I with him, I like choosing the options that are like teasing him. I find that to just be most entertaining.
There's a moment where I agree with you. I like Florian. I like Lucille as well, but I like Florian because he clearly wants it. He's just such a like bratty guy about it. There was a dialogue in I think it was day 4 or maybe day 3 where he shows up late and like Sage is like, hey, what are you doing here? This isn't a cage. And then Florian says this line. He says this line right here. I guess the cage is pretty comfortable. Slutty. So slutty.
Yeah, Florian's fun. He's and I don't know if like how much of it you played, but there's like one option to like he's like because he's getting like more tired as the days goes on,
Mm-hmm.
and so he comes in one day and he like puts his head down and there's an option to like pat him on the head or something. So I
Yeah.
chose that option.
And then Sage is like, oh, you just remind me of my mom's dog.
Yeah.
Never. Future lovers of mine out there, do not never compare me to a your mother's dog. Never. I love I the dialogue of these characters is just so it's so fun. It's just so silly also like Florian is actively playing this like hard to get character, but like he wants it. But like Sage is also giving it to everyone. Like Lucille, like the moment that like she takes off her helmet, she's like, "Oh, this tall, beautiful brunette," and she's like, "I'm here to serve you." Oh, yeah, I traveled from the past, and I'm really only here because of your aunt, but I'm here to serve you. And like, Sage doesn't miss a beat. He is going for every single person. Lucille, there's so
and and that's the thing, like I love that there is so much choice in the game. It's like you can choose to romance none of them or all of them if you want, like, and so it really is like whatever you want to do, like. And I think like Sage is just like a very friendly person, and even as like the new characters come in, like they all talk about the character's charm
mm,
and how people in town are starting to know who they are. And so I feel like you're able to, leverage that and then, romance any character you see fit, or just keep that friendly, positive, supportive vibe. Like with the ghost, you can like the ghost is an option you can romance as well, or you can just be that supportive person that's helping the ghost become like a pop idol superstar. So I like that you can still develop relationships and not necessarily have to make them all romantic.
that is like all derived from being such a like inclusive type of game because there's like
Hmm.
arrow ace people out there to the point that I've had them on this show. So like I know very well that like there's people that just want to be supportive, be there for
Hmm.
people. They're not like me, a freak that's always gonna that will look at this accountant, this 6'7" accountant, hey 6'7", and like romance him. But like Sage is so into this at a certain point without barely even knowing this guy. I think the only people I didn't want to really romance, or maybe I didn't even get the chance to, is Quinn, who is like a DILF, like a Latin lover DILF type.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like he is very much interested in Aunt Sylvie. And
Yeah.
Weenie,
Because
or
then that would be weird. It's like it sounds like there's already a Sylvie, Quinn thing going on. So I feel like Sage, likes her aunt too much to like, have that be an option.
which is nice, it's kind of nice to
Yeah.
have like a character that isn't, that might be good to look at, but that's all you're gonna get. Like walking past a buffet. So like I gotta know, like, these characters, they all kind of fit into like archetypes. Florian's not exactly a tsundere, for example, but he's kind of pushing that. And so I want to know,
Hmm.
like, in your characters, you have been able to promote some of your characters. I don't know if this is the entirety of your character list, but like I know you have Skylar, who is a very cute looking long haired brown boy that seems very interested in putting you in a machine. and and Monique, who is a cutie that uses a mobility aid, like most baddies do out there. And Anne Marie, we talked about a DILF. Anne Marie is absolutely a MILF, trying to get at some cafe good time. And then the last character that I have seen is Soji, and
Hmm.
he's also cute, bespeckled, and has a lot of information on reptiles. So like I just want to know, like, when you are making these characters, are you thinking of these kind of archetypes that you want to make sure that you can provide to the audience?
Yeah. So when thinking about the characters that I wanted for the game, my number one thing that I considered was diversity and representation. So before doing any character design with a character artist or anything like that, I made a list of these are the people that I wanted in the game. I knew there had to be Black people in the game. I knew, depending on the number of Black people, one was going to have natural hair. I knew I wanted someone to have a visible disability. I knew I wanted someone who was like older than 50 years old. Like I made a list of like all the different types of people I wanted in the game, and once it came down to now the number of people characters that were going to be in the game, then I had to either consolidate or just figure out who like what I was going to do. And So that was like the first and foremost, like the what I was looking at. When it comes to the characters, I wanted all the characters to like look great. Like I wanted them to just be like really like pretty, adorable characters. The game that I'm making is not a dating sim, so you cannot romance any of the characters. I think of
Boo.
it more like I think of it more like a friendship sim because like you really are like getting to know the characters and building bonds with them. Like that is, we're talking about subjects of like death and grief at times, and sometimes just more lighthearted ones about like finding your pack and like, making friends and trying to get by at work and dealing with, messy coworkers. And so the focus really is on just like building connection. Like I think that's like it is under the umbrella of like the like going to the afterlife and spirits, but
Mm.
the theme really is connection in the game. Um, but just because I wanted the characters to be nice to look at, like that's something that was really important as well. Like I'm really happy with how all the characters turned out. The first character that me and the character designer worked on was Skylar, so they are my firstborn child. I consider all the characters my children. So yeah, Skylar is no, for real. And so Skylar is my child, and I knew, I don't know what, like, I guess because like he was the first. So Skylar's pronouns are he, they, and Skylar's non-binary. And I knew I wanted a character, I think because he was the first, I wanted him to have brown skin.
Mm.
And I do love long, luscious hair on a brown skinned person. So I was like, let's give him long, luscious hair. Um, and yeah, and then from there, like with reference, like, the character sheet of like what I wanted. And that's when I kind of worked out, okay, if like for the 3 concierges, this is how I want to, this is who I want them to be. Here's what I want their ethnicities and ages to be. With Monique, she is your coworker. And so she was fun to work on with the character artist. I think she's adorable. I love her hair. She wears her hair in curly locks. And yeah, like all the characters have been fun. There's some other characters, some ones that aren't visible that you still interact with in the game. From the first teaser trailer, you actually talk to one of them. His name is Tracy. He's another coworker that you chat with and you get to know at work. But starting off in the game, he's someone who's like an established character that you are familiar with him. And Monique is the new person, or new to you, I should say, that you haven't worked with, that you're like, oh, like, who is this person? And so you get to know her. But it was fun, just like workshopping with the narrative designer on like the personalities and the tone of voice and who these characters are. And like we did a full like backstory for each of the characters, like their families, their siblings, what they their views on life and death, and
Oh,
do they
you're
have any
going
pets,
deep.
like all, yeah, like whether or not they're actually in the story, like all the characters have like a fully fleshed out like backstory, like they're full real unreal human beings.
I really like what you said there, like making a list of like what type of identities people might your characters might have, and how that will influence the actual character design. It really is that simple to decide, hey, I want the character that's like black, that's disabled, that's all over 60, that loves reptiles, all of these different things. And I like that because that's way more interesting than having a monochromatic character palette. Like, there are some games where I have played and I'm just like, what? Why am I just seeing the same guy? I even think about how in Willowmist, like a lot of the characters, the darkest they get is like a little, maybe a little darker than me. There's no, at least until the full game is out, there's no black characters, for example. There's no characters that like are like Latino, like me. So like, but I like that it just goes that way because, or you made that decision because it's nice. I like that variety, and that variety is like very much shown in the dialogue. Because even in the trailers that you have shown, I haven't been able to play it, but I will absolutely play it when it's out. It is linked below, listener, to the Steam wishlist. Add that. I like how your dialogue is very much influenced by that, because sometimes in the Willowmist game, sometimes the dialogue all feels a little too samey. There's a character that comes in later called Eden that has an absolutely different like dialogue approach. Yeah. But everyone else, it's kind of this general English like approach to speaking. Not even an Australian approach to speaking, just like a general English. So I mean, that's cool. And I wanna play a game with you. So
sure.
In my,
I'm a little we said let's play a game. Like a little nervous, but let's do it.
So this game is pretty simple, right? I've been doing a lot of research in this. I want to express the variety of visual novels and what they are they provide an audience. And I wanna see if you could guess what game is real versus what is a game that I invented the name and the description of. So
All right.
I have 5 categories. We're only gonna do a couple. So I will let you choose which one. First category, vampires. Second, digital life. Third, plants. Fourth, parody. And the 5th is crime. What calls to you?
Let's do plants for
Plant?
500.
Plants for 500. Okay, I'm gonna give you the name first, and if you need the description, I will give you the description. But keep in mind, I want to know which one of these 2 is the real game.
Okay.
The first one is Bajo las Rosas, which translates to Bajo the Roses. And the other game is Astra's Garden. Which one of these is the real one?
I'm going to go with the other one. What was it?
Bajo las
Something Las
Rosas?
Rosas? Bajo las Rosas. I'll go with that as the real one.
You really think this sounds like a game? The pain
It
from
could
the
be.
wound is the least of your worries. What's truly unsettling is him, your neighbor. Does that sound like a real game to you?
It does. Actually, I've heard weirder. I've heard weirder.
Okay. Let me throw you this wrench. For Astra's Garden, cautionary advisory. The story contains heavy topics such as chronic illness, death. Please take care. Now keep in mind, I am woke. I can write like this. This is my language.
No, like content warnings are great. To be honest, I have no idea. They both could be real. Maybe it's a trick question. Maybe they're both real. That's my final answer. They're both real.
They're both real. They're both real. Okay, you saw past my smoke screen. I have 4 other options.
Let's do vampires.
Vampires. Okay, I'm gonna give you the description here first. After a quiz in your favorite magazine said that your ideal type would be a vampire, you came across an ad for a single vampire in your area. Now I'm gonna give you the name. Real? Maybe not real. This is called Vampires in Your Area. What does that sound like to you?
I like the thing is I have seen, I want to say I've seen this, but I in another game, but I didn't know if that was just like we made this up in the game or if it actually referenced a real game. So I'm gonna say it's a real game.
Okay. It is in fact a real game. It is in fact a real game. Let me throw you a curveball here.
All right.
This is from a different category because you got it in one, the previous one. This is from parody.
Okay.
Ever watch Gravity Falls and think, man, that stand sure is hot? Well, indulge that thought by playing this grunkle dating sim.
Can I get the name of the game?
Yeah. Soon overstands.
Okay, I have not heard of that name. I mean, dating sims are very popular. So I'm just gonna go with you made that one up.
You think I can make a Gravity
You
Falls
just said you
dating?
could.
Well,
And
maybe.
I've also never seen Gravity Falls, so I don't know what that is.
I've seen it, and like, yeah, this is a real game. This is a real game.
Mm,
You grabbed it. Let me give you one review. One review I found. This
okay.
is a very well crafted, meticulously throughout planned scenario that builds and builds and builds. That review came directly from the creator of Gravity Falls, who has played this dating sim.
Wow,
As I was
that's
looking
awesome.
around, also like I learned that like a lot of these games have like a big scripts. I don't know if you've like made an account for your scripts, but I see some of them are literally over 150,000 words.
Yeah, some of the playtimes for these games can be several hours. The amount of time I'm aiming for is probably the range of like 4 to 7 hours. Once it is finalized, I'll need to figure out how I can get like the final word count because like it was written in Twine, and then I like converted it over to RenPy, which is the software game engine that I'm using. But then I've been doing additional editing and additions and removings in RenPy. So I have no idea what the word count is currently, but once it's finalized, there's probably some tool I can use to like get the official word count. Because you'll see a lot of that in game descriptions because people want to know like how many words or how long is it going to take to play this game. So I think that's a good stat that players find helpful.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because as I was looking around for these games, I was like, "Are these? Is this real? Is this real? 150,000 words, 100,000 words, 40,000 words. Like that is a lot. That like folks are actually writing a real big narrative for this, and I think that's so
Yeah.
cool. You know, um, I have one more game that I'm not even gonna like I'm not even gonna trick you. This is real. Like one of the things that I saw is that a lot of these visual novels love to deal with like taboo subjects. One of them being crime, and so I found this game called Killer Trait. You are a serial killer who only targets criminals, and you will be will be your biggest ally. Like literally a game about finding more serial killers with a serial killer. And I'm just like, okay, okay. So when you talk about like going out and finding like information about other games, how they deal with like these big heavy topics, like there's so many. There's so many.
Yeah. And I think that as many creators that are making games like these are just as many like players who would be interested. So I feel like I saw that just from watching like the past like end of last year was like a big like video game award season, so I was
Hmm.
like watching all of the awards and seeing who was like nominated and who won and looking at first looks for upcoming games and all of that. And there were some like I do not like gore, and there were some pretty gory games that were being showcased, and I could never play a game like that, but there are people who are very excited for games like that. I think Diablo was one of them. And so you'll find the full spectrum of games from like the heinous and the gory to the super cute and cozy. You'll find it all.
I just like it. I like how there's that level of variety. Like I'm not the biggest fan of gore per se, but like if the gore like provides a narrative function, like I think about Doom 2016, which is a game that I really like. It really has that a reason for that gore versus just I don't know a grotesquerie to for the sake of titillation, and which I don't really like.
Mhm.
I think as I've like dove into the visual novel like media, I've really gathered like an understanding that this is kind of like this is for everyone. This type of media is for everyone because as I was going in itch.io, which is where I found these games, so
Mm-hmm.
many people were commenting, ¿lo puedes traducir a español? Like people are asking, can you translate this into Spanish? Or like into other language, into Portuguese, into I saw people wanting it in Japanese. I saw people wanting it
Mm-hmm.
in French. And so many of these games are actually proactive to be able to have that language being there from the very start. And I like that. I think there's a material reason why, and why this type of game is for everyone. Because these
Yeah,
games,
100%. Yeah, because I really like translating your game is something that I think is just really good to do as far as like getting more players, like especially for a game like a visual novel. Like other games can maybe get away with not translating a lot if it's just very heavy on like the action and the fighting and things like that. But for a visual novel, like the story are the words, and so getting it translated would be super beneficial. Like I would love to be able to translate my game eventually. If I end up doing that, it probably wouldn't be until after it is launched, so that I can have the funds to do that. Because something that's important for me is like everyone who worked on the game was paid.
yeah.
And so if I can't afford to pay someone to do a thing, like either I'll do it or I'm just gonna make do without it. So once I do have the funds to be able to like get it translated, that's something I would love to do.
And I think that's so like representative of how this is for everyone. And a lot of these games, I don't know how the distribution for these games are in total, but I do know that a lot of these can be just played on a browser. So if you are a gamer like out in Latin America, where getting a 4080 graphics card or having the latest CPU or anyone, or even in the time of like massive RAM, like prices, like you can just play this on your browser. You can have a whole story, a whole
Mhm.
game, and you can just enjoy it on your browser. And honestly, you could probably make a lot of this within hardware that is a little outmoded in 2026.
Mhm.
And that's so cool to me.
Yeah, like the one of the beautiful things about visual novels is it doesn't take up a lot of disk space. Like you don't have these massive 3D open world environments, and um it's it's 2D. It's there is going to be a variety of backgrounds, but it's like the extent is usually just like a still frame. So yeah, there's like it allows you to like still convey a story visually, but not, it doesn't take up so much space on your computer. And it does allow you to then play in the browser because it's not super memory or storage intensive.
And it really is a video game for the people, a video game type for the people. And I love that. I love that like so much. I used to be a broke gamer at one point in my life. And I know very well the feeling of having a game, downloading it, running it, and then spending a couple of hours trying to maximize the performance of my machine to play it, only for me to be like, actually, I can't even play it. I want to thank you for coming on, and we're gonna step into our final moment here of Hopecast, which is when we talk about the things that we are hopeful for. So I would like to start with my what makes me hopeful, and I think 2026 has been a bit of a difficult year, but one of the things that has made me very hopeful.
Yeah, two weeks in, it's been very difficult.
Yeah, and I'm not even gonna say it's gonna get worse, but like maybe. What I do know is that seeing so many people rally around the people of Minnesota has just been so. It's been so heartwarming. It's been it's been good to see. I really enjoy knowing that when people need each other, they show up, no matter how persuasive or how prevalent the narrative of people hate each other is. I'm just very happy that there's still a wide variety of people that care about each other.
I love that.
What are you hopeful for, Ugochi?
What am I hopeful for? So I'm hopeful for a lot of things. It's like as humans, I feel like we're living in different spheres simultaneously. It's like we have ourselves, like we're in our own bodies, we have our families and friends, we have our communities, we have the country that we live in, the land that we live in, and then there's like the world. So it's like we're constantly, and sometimes maybe one has more focus over the other, but I feel like there's like I have that stream of like where my mind is at all times. And so when it comes to like what I'm hopeful for this year, I'm very hopeful about the game that I'm working on. Like I think
Yeah.
I'm excited for more people to see it and for people to play it when it comes out. And I hope that it makes people feel something. I hope people enjoy the art and the characters and the dialogue and the music, and that they just enjoy it, and that it's like a fun thing that they can fall back on. Because to your point about like people rallying together, it's like as as someone who is protesting, as someone who's an activist, whatever people are doing in their communities, rest is important and a joy is important through that resistance. And if what I'm making can be a little bit of joy,
Mm,
that would be amazing. Um, I also am very optimistic about like working on this game, and I'm already getting excited about my ideas for the next game that I want to make.
nice.
When I was before even working on this game, I knew I wanted to have a series of games about Black revolutions, and
Mm,
so I would love to have a series of games that highlight different revolutions and rebellions throughout time. And so I think that's like the next game that I would love to make. I don't know if that will be a visual novel, but it is definitely a game that I want to make
I would love
in
to.
the near future.
I would love to play the Haitian Revolution visual novel. I would
There
love.
is someone who is making a game like that currently. I'm blanking on the name, but they had a talk at the Game Devs of Color Expo,
Mm,
which is an expo with talks from Game Devs of Color. So shout out to them. Um, I will find the name and send it to you
right on.
because yeah, because he's doing cool stuff. But I'm also hopeful um, for people feeling more empowered. Something that I personally do is as long as like I have as I'm doing something like within my community, like whether that's on a volunteering basis or whether that's protesting, it makes me feel empowered. I find that, to wallow in just like, oh, like it's, there's too much going on or it's too difficult, like just kind of in a silo, like things can feel overwhelming. But when you're with other people, when you're with community and you're working towards something, like anything that you do can make a difference and can be impactful. Um, that to me feels like that feels powerful. So in and of itself gives me hope. Being part of different community groups and mutual aid networks. So continuing to do that and forming community gives me hope.
Yeah, 100%. I love hearing that. That there's always a a soft spot for me for anybody that is interested in being part of the great change needed, the revolution that's needed. And believe it or not, listener, you have a space in that. And whatever that space might be, you know it.